It's times I want to get all the unconscious people off my fucking page and just leave conscious people. But then just like be like 20 people on my page. And it would be kind of like redundant because it's like the unconscious is really who you want to talk to. It's not the conscious. I was looking at this Stokely Carmichael thing, Kwame Toure, um, where he was talking about the consistency, a constant political message. I think that's the term he used. And that's what we got to be. We have to be constant. We have to constantly remind our people of their circumstances and situation. And I guess that's what my job is. You know what I'm saying? To those who will look at my timeline, shit, fuck it. You know what I'm saying? And the information there about it and why we are in the circumstances that we're in. Because it's kind of bigger than hip hop. It's bigger than the bullshit. It's bigger than my motherfucking, my personal problems. It's bigger than, you know what I'm saying, any of our personal problems. We have a group problem that's greater than our individual problems. And that our individual problems are just being compounded by that group problem. So, you know what I'm saying? I like to deal with my individual problems without dealing with an entire group's problem on top of those. See, that's white privilege. And that's the problem, that's white guilt, stemming from that white privilege. Or when that white privilege is confronted with the reality of race, where you are being targeted for the actions of your group, which are there's an authentic target and then there's a pseudo target. Like we are the pseudo target, they're the authentic target. Oh yeah, and Stokely Carmichael, Kwame Ture, was talking about you can't talk about an oppressed people without talking about their oppressor. It takes it out of context. It makes the oppressed people seem, the oppression of those people seem justified. And that's the difference between, like, you know what I'm saying, the conscious community talking about the issues of the black community in relationship to the unconscious or conservative right, or coon blacks, niggas, Negropeans. See, they want to take the oppressor out of the equation, as if the oppressor has nothing to do with the actual circumstances which the oppressed are dealing with. I don't want to take you can't, that's even what Polite was talking about. He's like, bro, I'm never going to stop talking about the oppressor's role in our oppression. But you cannot deny the oppressed role in the codependency aspect of being oppressed. But you can't also deny that the codependency is a direct result of the oppression. That the psychological, that our victim mentality is a direct result of us being victimized. That there is we wouldn't have a victim mentality if we weren't being victimized. But the only way that we're going to get past our oppression is to get over our victim mentality. To accept that we have a victim mentality and that we need to overcome it in order to break our codependency upon, you know what I'm saying, our oppressor. You know, that's, our captor, as far as Stockholm Syndrome is concerned. So every once in a while, I bring up my individual issues in relationship to the group issue because my individual issues are only compounded by the group issues. And I can see that. My family dynamic, the dysfunctional nature of my family is a compounded issue. Not to say that we wouldn't have had the dysfunctional circumstances without the oppressor's oppression to compound upon it. That's also Joy DeGroy's multi-generational aggravated post-traumatic slave disorder. Stress slave disorder, how we pronounce it. Is a relationship that there is a present, you know what I'm saying, oppressor and a systematic oppression. In which we are denied access in order for a group to feel superior. Because if we were given equitable access, it would challenge their superiority. Or their perceived superiority or their pseudo superiority, because it's not actual superiority. Like KRS-One points out, if they were actually superior, if they actually had a superior psychology, they would be acting differently. They actually have an inferior psychology and acting on an a group inferiority complex, not a superiority complex. It's from a inferiority complex that this need to assert superiority is derived from, because it's a pseudo superiority that's derived from an unconscious awareness of inferiority. Like Dr. Welsing points out in her work, ISIS Papers, the fear of genetic annihilation, an unconscious fear of genetic annihilation, an irrational fear, but an unconscious fear that's derived from self-preservation. You got to see these biological directives, but self-preservation itself, from a healthy standpoint, one of the posts of the white boy talking about taking responsibility for his group's acts against our group and the benefits in which they achieve from it. That he has a healthy survival instinct, realizing that we all have to survive together. That the means for man, we can't survive, just like the older white chick who's always talking about racism and the fact that that white supremacy and racism is a psychological disorder, a mental disorder. It's maladaptive. And these are the white people who have a healthy psychology. So white people still produce healthy individuals with a healthy psychology who understand self-preservation from a healthy standpoint, realizing that all of humanity has to be preserved for the benefit of humanity. That it's not just a group of humanity or one ethnic group within humanity that needs to be preserved at the detriment of all other humanity. That's a maladaptive self-preservation instinct. And that's what Europeans as a group have developed, a maladaptive self-preservation instinct. But there is the possibility there, because it's not, you're not born with it. You're taught it. You know, like she was saying, you're taught this maladaptive, instinctive, or self-preservation concept, or which is derived, yes, like Nathaniel Branden really talks about as far as your volitional function to reason, and what happens when you don't use that volitional function to reason. You become indoctrinated into a program that can be maladaptive, and where you seek your validation outside of yourself. And white people as a group are seeking their validation outside of themselves. They're not finding their validation from authentic sources within. Your humanity. You're humans. For, mutated, whatever, you're still humans, and therefore preservation of all humans should be first and foremost of, your determination. Not just a specific group of humans that you happen to be connected to. And yes, Black African Americans have adapted it to some extent as far as survival is concerned, but it's still maladaptive. Not realizing that we all need to get along in order to to self-preserve as a species, regardless of what ethnicity emerges from the overall human species, that we all need one another in order to survive. This is something that can be directed back to Africans themselves, because we had our own ethnic perceptions and maladaptive ethnic interactions that you can see within the literature. So that's what I'm saying when I talk about, our early actions that led to these actions, not justifying the actions that were committed, they just led. It's just the constant, the cause and effect. Everything happens because of cause and effect. Nothing happens in a vacuum. Nature abhors a vacuum. Which is, one of those metaphors that just keeps on, I posted something about, Einstein's general relativity in relation to gravity, all objects falling at an equal rate regardless of mass or configuration. Now, as far as Newton is concerned, configuration only plays a part in relationship to airflow or to friction, in relationship to like paper falling at a slower rate, or an open paper, what I'm saying, flat paper falling at a slower rate than a balled up piece of paper. That's where where there's no gravity is concerned, then they will fall at an equal rate, regardless of the air restrictions, because there's no air. So that's Einstein. And that's as far as, what I'm saying, seeing these exact metaphors continually prove themselves to be true over and over again. That's what a theory does. That's what's more sound as a theory. And then there's things that we just consider law, which are theoretical as well, but those theoretical things are just so proven to be true over and over and over and over and over again, you might as well just fucking call them a law and stop calling them fucking theory. Einstein, at some point in time, there are certain aspects of Einstein theories that we are only going to be able to call law because they're just so universally accepted. They're so universal. They keep finding themselves that when tested again and again and again and again, they prove themselves to be true through observable phenomena of nature. So, I realize at the end of the day, I got to keep on doing what I'm doing. That at the end of the day, that is bigger than my individual fucking problems. That my individual problems are compounded by group problems. Not just my ethnic group problems, but by my fucking racial group problems, the fucking species I belong to, human group problems. And my problems are minuscule in relationship to the overall larger group problems, because my problems are compounded by those problems. So, fuck. You gotta find a way in order to get past these problems. And if I can find solutions to large group problems, I can find solutions to individual problems. So, fuck it. That's where I'm at right now. Make out what you can make out.